in essence, well, we had two sentences: the quality of a bank, the creativity of an ad agency. The next step was actually to apply some science to that.
It was, because in reality we didn't have a brief, did we, in all fairness? We had a two-line statement and it was to go out and deliver that.
This building was going to be our new home for the next 30 to 40 years, and it had to represent all elements of the IM group. What greater opportunity are we going to have to showcase our credentials as one of the leading regional property developers? Whilst we had an aspiration, we had to apply some science in order to formulate a brief. As a developer, we knew that quality, sustainability, well-being, and obviously productivity were high on the agenda.
We had to compile the brief, and we needed to understand in detail how the businesses within the group operated. What did they need and what did they want, and what was their aspirations? We had to establish the future business plan and the growth requirements, as well as understanding the staff culture. Were we working in a way that was constrained by the workspace and the facilities that we had at Coleshill Manor? How could we design a building to provide a best-in-class environment for the staff to enjoy and work in?
I have to say, the importance of this project certainly wasn't lost on Madge and myself. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to design a new headquarters building that ultimately is going to be the best for the company and for our staff.
Part of the workspace analysis meant that we had to drill into the real detail and the functionality of the individual businesses within IM Group. And that also went down to actual how we're using our current building at Coleshill. As part of that process, we also spoke to each of the individual department heads to understand their current headcount. They had to then forecast their future headcount for the next number of years, really. So again, we're factoring that in. We've also, perhaps on the motor side of the business as well, it's how they operate, because not only is it people coming to IM House at Coleshill to work. We've got a lot of apprenticeships coming, and I think now we had a great opportunity to create the Academy, which is a showcase now for our apprenticeship schemes, the actual business development opportunities we've got on the IM car side of the business. So again, that was another positive that came out of the overall move.
First and foremost, the HQ building has been built to meet institutional standards. In many respects, it not only meets the best practice standards of, let's say, the British Council for Offices, but it surpasses them. For example, we have built the building based on a density occupancy ratio of 1 person per 8 metres squared, whereas best practice is 1 per 10. We're pumping 14 litres a second per person of fresh air into this building, whereas the BCO best practice is 12 litres a second. We have an efficient 15-metre floor plan depth with a floor to ceiling of 3 metres. Combining this with a raked ceiling detail around the perimeter has allowed us to increase the natural light by up to 30%, reducing our reliance on artificial lighting. Clearly, sustainability was high on our agenda, and it was incorporated into the early design from day one. For example, we have an array of solar panels both on the HQ building and on Christian Vision building, and they generate somewhere in the region of 10 to 15% of our electricity requirements.
We have a fully controllable LED lighting system, an intelligent BMS system which monitors the energy performance of the building, allowing us to adjust accordingly to suit our needs. The building infrastructure is future-proof to accommodate new technologies in IT and AV.
Being a property company, being a construction company, we had strong relationships with a number of architects and engineers, etc. And I think both Madge and I, after a short conversation, kind of knew pretty much in our hearts who would be up to the task. And also we had to be mindful of, we didn't want compromise. We needed to really leverage, I've got to say, on some of those relationships to get the best out of this process with the limited amount of time that we had. In the main, majority of the team, we go, IM and those respective businesses have had relationships for 10, 15, 20 years. We've actually needed to rely on those relationships because I can tell you now on this process, has been a challenging one. You don't end up with this end result without some blood, sweat and tears. And it has really been a journey for everyone. And in the timescale that we've done it in, to the quality that we've done it in, we really couldn't have done that without the dedication and support of our key supply chain. Right from the start, we were up against it. We had 2.5 years to find the site, formulate our requirements, obtain planning permission, and then design, build, fit out our HQ, along with obviously relocating the entire business.
The pressure was on from the start. Once we'd identified the site, there were a number of constraints that put the programme at risk that we needed to manage. These range from a major HV diversion and a power upgrade for the local area. We had site-wide ground conditions that resulted in all of the buildings being piled. Biodiversity, offsetting and ecological requirements had to be managed. And there are a number of existing services, including a major national oil pipeline that we had to construct around. One of the issues we had to overcome on the site was working with the EA in order to do the flood mapping, because there was no current data that we could work upon to actually proceed with from the planning to give our SUD system and get that signed off by the agencies. So what we did, we completed the flood mapping, and then through just working through with the design team, we got to a flood risk design for the whole site, which we use it as a positive focus in the landscaping, and that we created a nice swale to the rear of the site between ourselves and the country park. But it was more of a natural feature, but also a secure line for us as well, that we took as a positive, and I think aesthetically it works really well.
Yeah, really well.
We then also factored that into the lake that we've got at the front of the building, so again that supports the SUD system, and obviously we've got the pond around the gatehouse, and again all of that we've used to our advantage to create a lovely landscaped environment, for the building as a whole, and create the overall setting.
One of the other challenges, obviously, with the constraints we had to deal with this site was there was a building line that we couldn't cross. So again, we had to really work hard to be able to meet the business aspirations and design the master plan that worked around that building line. But it's worked in our advantage really, because what that's done is we've pushed the building to the kind of northern part of the site, but it's allowed us to create this real sense of arrival out the front. So again, a constraint that we've used in a positive way. We also had issues, green
belt, because where we're surrounded by the entire country park again, which is a lovely landscaped area, but we found that part of the area is actually sited within the green belt that we had to be respectful of. Had various conversations with the planners in respect to the design of the building, and not only green belt, but also had to acknowledge ecological issues that we've actually brought through into the actual landscaping, externally to support and benefit the ecological site, before we actually moved in.
And actually, I think with the quality of what we've done, we've been able to, from a biodiversity point of view, have a positive impact.
And I think with the green belt as well, because we've got an academy building that sits just to the rear of the site. And again, that was always within the green belt. We knew we'd have challenges, but we couldn't really place it anywhere else on the site because of its functionality and where it needed to be. So again, we've tried to design that, trying to be respectful of the green belt, which is why we've got the CDAM roof to it, and it's the subterranean design, whilst trying to allow the actual functionality of the building. And again, it's also because we do have residents to the back, again, to make sure that they're what's there, not necessarily overlooking us, but from a distance, it's not just a typical corporate building or of an industrial nature. So again, you've got a nice CDAM roof of the actual academy building, and then you've got the actual rustic feature of the core 10 and the actual precast stone, which are all quite natural products that, again, sitting within a really mature landscapes environment. Tried to engage staff all the way through the process, so they've been buying into it and had some voice throughout the overall process, so they feel involved in it. And as part of that, we started looking at the footprint of the actual office plates, again to have it as an agile working space, so people aren't constantly sitting at their desk, and give them a choice of where to work. Currently they could work anywhere in the building, and I think in respect of the well-being for staff as well, if they are at the workstation, we've given everybody a sit-stand desk.
I mean, that's been really well received actually. A lot of people think, well, I'm at a desk, I'm not going to stand up. And it's surprising when you look out there now and actually the amount of people that do stand up. And I think gone are the days where, if I look at our previous office, I think it's probably of its time. Your options were, you were either at your desk, you were in a meeting room, or you were in the canteen. Those days are gone. Offices are very different. Expectations from people, staff, are very different. And we wanted a building that not only could we be proud of as a group, but also as a property business, but also we want to be able to attract and retain our talent. And if you're working in a fantastic environment like this, that just helps. So again, a lot of different influences coming into how you create that work space, environment, and of course, at the heart of that is the well-being. So what we've done is when we've created this wrap-over feature to create the third story, the second floor, and what we're saying to the staff actually is, you know what, here you go, here's the prime space, and that's for you. But it's for our visitors as well. And I think that says a lot about the business and some of our and the values and how we do business. I've lived and breathed this project as Maj has for 2.5 years. It really has taken over our lives, but we stand here today actually really proud of what we've achieved.
Yeah. I'm very privileged, I think, to be given the trust really, by the business to take it forward and say, right, Majella, Jason, can you deliver us our new HQ? I really do look back, a bit of a pinch moment, we've done it and we're here.
There are a number of elements within the building we're really proud of. There are so many aspects which distinguish our building from, let's say, a typical corporate workspace. As you would expect for a HQ building, the selection of materials, the level of detailed design, and the quality throughout speaks for itself. I'm really pleased with how the cores have turned out. Certainly not your typical office core. They have been built in shuttered concrete, and the team have worked really hard to achieve a fantastic result, and certainly for myself, one of the best examples of shuttered concrete I've seen. Combining those shuttered concrete walls with accentuated angled walls, cemento ceilings, and linear LED lighting has created something special at the heart of this building.
I'm really pleased with the front of house areas, with a one-of-a-kind reception desk, a feature staircase that cantilevers from the structure, a 7 metre squared, huge translucent AV screen, the first of its kind in the UK. Now all of this is set within a fantastic triple height, multifunctional space with high-tech auditorium and meeting rooms.
The first day where all the staff move in, all of a sudden it's your office, it's your new workplace. It's not just a project. Just those emotions over that weekend where you're fighting to get this project over the line, to the Monday everyone moving in and seeing the buzz around the place, and you kind of think, you know what, we've done it. And that was just a great feeling.
I think the overall finish of the building, and we've delivered what we set out to deliver from day one in respect of the CGI. We had a vision. And I think if you're driving now, the vision's there in respect of the initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think there's lots of staff that, aren't property or construction backgrounds, and they won't understand the challenges and the level of detail that we've had to go into. What they do understand is when they come to their environment, how they feel, what they see, what they touch, and every single one of them has been blown away by this building. I knew what we were building, and even still I'm blown away by it. So I think both Majella and myself should be really proud of what we've created.
Yeah, no, we are, I think we are.